in today's Bible in 1 year, Matthew 25, there's quite a big challenge about using your life well and that stewarding what God's given you. And this picture that when God gives you something, he actually gives it to you. He's not a micromanager. There's this servant who's like, here's what belongs to you. And Jesus is basically like, no, I gave it to you to do something with. He's given our lives to us to steward well. And that's a challenge. That's a real challenge. That should sort of be a little bit of a holy fear there. But here's two great encouragements that come straight afterwards to help us do this and respond and live in his kingdom. We read this: when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he'll sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he shall separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. He'll put the sheep on his right on his right and goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. I love that. From the creation of the world, he's planned for you to win. He's not like, oh, they probably won't do it. Like he's set you up to win. He's anticipated rewarding you from the beginning. It's like, do you have a drawer in your house where you put rewards for yourself or for others? Like the Haribo drawer is full in Jesus' kingdom. He's positioned himself for you to win. It's not an afterthought that you would do well. And he says this to them: for I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. It's like, our faith is about on earth as it is in heaven. It's not about escaping this world. It's about heaven and earth being united in the person of Jesus and through his church. And that's done through food, drink, hospitality, clothing, visiting the sick, looking after the imprisoned. And these are things that we do for those who are disadvantaged. But it struck me as well, these are the actions that will be happening today at Safe Haven Men, but also these are the actions of the heroic in faith, but also of parents and those who invest in other people's kids, family, friends, and our kids team, our amazing kids team at church who are investing in other people's children, like feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, setting the captive free from their siblings' headlock. Those are just the daily activities of parents. Why do they do that? Because of mercy. Because of mercy. And remembering that we do this for others because this is the kind of mercy that Jesus has shown to us, that he provides bodily nutrition and he provides relational nutrition for us. Now, this mercy is so deep. The Hebrew word for mercy literally comes from the word from womb. Mercy is the visceral feeling. That's how Jesus feels towards you. The visceral feeling of a mother for the child in her womb, but also the sacrificial cost of laying your body down for the life of another. What a mother wouldn't do for a child, that's the image we've given of Jesus' mercy towards you. And it's a picture of what we're trying to do for others. So it's wider than this, but just for today, it's an encouragement to mothers doing the hidden work of growing a person and then the hidden labours of parenting that follows. And that's important because, as my friend said to me when we first had kids, babies give you a lot of things. Encouragement tends not to be one of them. And we need encouragement, whether that's parenting of our own children or actually discipling others is a form of parenting. Dallas Willard says discipling is reparenting people into the family of God. So that's the first bit of encouragement. This is how Jesus is towards us. He's set us up to win. But then this is the other encouragement. The righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger, invite you in, needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And I love that. There's this self-forgetfulness and joy of obedience, that obedience just becomes something. It's not like mature compassion is not constantly being like, what would Jesus do? It just begins to flow from within us. It's a life that resonates. It's a life that makes sense with how we've been loved by Jesus. And this is what the king says. He says, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers or sisters of mine, you did it for me. And isn't that incredible? Normally the way the world works is What you do for helpful people, powerful people, I'll credit that to my account. But actually, it's the least, it's the weakest, it's the very little. He says, those are the people. If you do that for them, you've done it for me. Jesus aligns himself with the weak, the powerless, the ones who are the least likely in the world's eyes to help advance a kingdom. It's a very strange kingdom. He says, these are the people. When you love them, I'm taking it personally. Isn't that incredible? It's like he says it. You did it to me, and this kind of solves two things. One is like I was always thinking like, Jesus says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength." It's like, well, if you've given it all to God, how is there anything left to love your neighbor? And it's because God's love isn't in competition with other loves, because He receives care for others as care to Himself. He's jealous for our love, but he's not stingy or tick boxy about how he receives it. He's happy to receive it through others. He's that generous. And so it's like, well, if you are growing a baby and you're very sick, or if you're parenting a child, or you're discipling other people's kids through the children's church, or if you're caring for the elderly or the lonely, if you're at Safe Haven Men today, whatever you're doing for anyone in need, practically or relationally, Jesus says, thank you. Isn't that incredible? He says thank you, and he says, look, there is a reward for you that I prepared way in advance for you to receive. So that's the first massive encouragement to help us carry on. But also he says, look, you did it to me. Jesus so identifies with us that if you're the one being served, if you're the one who is in need today, he aligns himself with you. If you're sick, he doesn't recoil. If you're imprisoned, he's not ashamed. If you've got addictions, he's not wagging his finger at you. If you're in need, he's asked his church to care for you practically and relationally. He is with you. And that's the kind of encouragement that as we hear that, it helps us lean in to this strange kingdom and live lives that resonate with how he's invited us to live.